Hey, what is up, mortals? It is me, Dylan, here, with a new video for you. Welcome to the second season, part 4 of What If Izuku Had a Decay Quirk. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, cause you're in for a treat. So, we begin. After a loud alarm went off in the stadium, announcing the end of the second sports festival event, Izuku's team had grown ecstatic, all of them celebrating their victory, coming in first place. Midnight, who was still standing on the stage, took the microphone off the stand and excitedly announced to the crowd, "We have our winners in the cavalry battle! In first place is Team Midoriya. Second place is taken by Team Bakugo, followed by third place, Team Todoroki, and last but not least, Team Shinsoo. These 4 teams have won the cavalry battle and will move on to the next and final event." The audience cheered in anticipation of the final event. Midnight turned the crowd's attention to the screen behind her, where it displayed the next event. On the screen, it shuffled through several options, before finally landing on the option of a tournament. It looks like it's been decided. The final event will be a series of 1 versus 1 matches. We will decide the matchup by drawing names from a box. I will come around with a box of names in a moment. Before then, any questions? Midnight asked the crowd of students waiting for the next event. A boy had raised their hand and asked a question that shook the entire stadium with surprise. Excuse me, I'm withdrawing, Ojiro stated, before being met with the concern of his classmates, asking him various questions on why he made that decision. Ojiro tries to explain his reasoning to his worried friends. "I barely remember anything from the cavalry battle until almost the end. I think it was that guy's quirk." Another student from Class 1B partially raised his hand and asked to also withdraw for the same reason. The 2 students look up to Midnight, who still stood on the stage, waiting to hear if she accepts their withdrawal request. "Your youthful talk like that is something. I like it! Shoda! Ojiro! I accept your withdrawal!" Midnight yells out to the crowd, surprised at her reasoning. Midnight began to explain how the tournament would go on, without those 2 students adding in new contenders to replace them. Everyone draws a name on who they would be facing in the first round of the tournament. Izuku reached into the box to pull a name and looked at the name he got with worry. On the slip of paper he pulled, he got the name Hitoshi Shinsoo. Midoriya looked at the paper in shock as he remembered who that person was. Before Izuku could look around and find the person he was placed against in the first bracket, he heard someone speak up from behind him. "It's you, isn't it? Izuku Midoriya?" Izuku jumped in shock, stumbling away from his future opponent. Before Izuku could respond to Shinsoo, he felt something cover his mouth, only then to notice Ojiro was covering his mouth with its tail. "Don't speak, Midoriya," Ojiro warned. Shinsoo only smirked in response before walking away with one hand in his pocket. "What's wrong, Ojiro?" Midoriya asked, extremely confused. "Don't answer him," Ojiro responded to Izuku quite simply, giving Midoriya more questions than answers. Before they could talk further, President Mike took the microphone and gathered everyone's attention.
"Hooray, everyone! We'll give the students a short break to prepare for the first rounds of the tournament!"
President Mike yells out from the booth he and Aizawa sat in. All the students in the center of the stadium are all slowly leaving to separate rest areas with their friends. Ojiro brought Midoriya to one of the rooms available to spend the break in and set Izuku down to explain Shinsoo's quirk to Midoriya. Around a half hour passes. Before the first match, Izuku walked out into the field of the stadium with a plan in mind. He had spoken to Ojiro during the break, and Midoriya learned the truth behind Shinsoo's quirk. Both Midoriya and Shinsoo walked out to the battle arena that the pro hero Cemento set up using his cement quirk. They both walked into the cement platform and stood a good distance from each other. Midoriya held a straight face the entire way onto the platform, not saying any words. "This is a fight to test the strength of your spirit. If you know what you want for your future, then you can't worry about appearances," Shinsoo stated just before the President Mike yelled out for the match to begin. But Shinsoo kept talking even during the beginning of the fight. That tailed boy was going on about his pride, but don't you think he was dumb for throwing away his chance? Midoriya stared at Shinsoo with his teeth clenched. He was angry at what Shinsoo said, but he couldn't let his words let him lose this match. Izuku knew if he placed high in this tournament, then he could have a far greater chance of being a hero. His quirk can't get in the way of his dream. Midoriya slowly began to walk forwards towards Shinsoo, slowly accelerating his pace into a run towards Shinsoo. Shinsoo had started running away from Izuku, knowing if Midoriya attacked him even once, he would lose. so he tried his absolute best to try and avoid Midoriya. Shinsoo ran around the arena, knowing he couldn't do this forever. He quickly turned around and stopped and started speaking, hoping to aggravate Midoriya into speaking. You 1A students have no idea how lucky you truly are. None of you deserve to be in that class. You all are just lucky to have been born with those blessings you call good quirks! Shinsoo yelled out, hoping that Midoriya had heard him. Izuku did hear him. However, instead of yelling out, he bit his tongue and grabbed Shinsoo by the arm. Izuku pivoted his body around and threw Shinsoo over his shoulder, throwing him onto the ground. Shinsoo's back slammed into the ground with a big thud. Shinsoo wasn't a fighter, and he knew that. He risked everything in hoping he could trick his opponent into speaking. Shinsoo wasn't getting up from the pain. The pro hero judging the matches, Midnight, declared the end of the match when Shinsoo was unable to get back up.
Due to Hitoshi Shinsoo's inability to continue competing, the winner is Izuku Midoriya!
Midnight yelled to the entire audience's enjoyment. Izuku looked down at Shinsoo, who was still laying there after being defeated. Midoriya was very confused, thinking back to what Shinsoo was truly talking about. What did you mean back then? Midoriya finally got the courage to ask Shinsoo. Shinsoo turned his head towards Izuku, and with an agitated tone, he questioned, What are you talking about? When you were talking about how all the 1A students didn't deserve to be here, Midoriya explained as he still stood over Shinsoo. Shinsoo sighed before answering. Just ignore it. It's too late now. You know, I worked really hard to get into this class. I'm not sure about the others. Trained a lot in order to get here. No one thought I could make it due to my quirk. But here I am. Izuku chuckled to himself, realizing how far he has come to achieving his goal. Shinsoo doesn't respond, only staring off into space. Izuku walks away from the concrete field after being told to clear away for the next match to begin. Shinsoo gets up and is brought to Recovery Girl. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN allows you to change your IP address, making it harder to track, and securing your privacy. In addition to providing safe patches through the web, you can also expand the reach of your favorite streaming services like Disney+. If you are from the United States, you won't be able to watch any of the MCU and Sony Spider-Man movies. But by switching your location to Japan, you can access them whenever you want. Check out the link in the description to get 3 extra months when you purchase the 12-month subscription plan that costs $99.99 a year. This deal is for a limited time only, so hurry. Thank you ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video. Midoriya leaves the stands to sit down with the rest of his class. The next fight began with it being Shoto Todoroki versus Hanata Sero. Izuku was walking to his seat when he saw Ida. Izuku was about to say hi to him when Midoriya noticed they were in a call. The call ended quickly, and Izuku walked up to say hi. Hey Ida, who were you on the phone with? Izuku asked, curiously, trying to make conversation. I was trying to call my brother before my first match. He must be busy with hero work though. I'll call him later, Tenya explained. Oh? Hero work? What's your brother's hero name? This question seemed to give Tenya a proud look on his face. None other than the Great Ingenium, Ida stated with a wide smile on his face. Oh wow! Really? That's really cool! Izuku recalled having a page on Ingenium in one of his early notebooks on heroes. Yeah, I'm proud to be his younger brother. I'll have to try calling him again later after my match. I should get down to the stadium field soon. My match is right after Denki's. All right. Well, see ya, and good luck. Izuku waved bye to Ida, who was in a rush to get down to the field. Izuku sighed in relief after looking down to the field. He was happy he managed to win against Shinsoo. Izuku stared down to the field below the stands. Izuku was standing at one of the entrance points near the stairs to reach different levels of the stands. From there, he could see the field, and Midoriya lost himself staring at the fight going on. He paid close attention to each student and how they would react to different attacks. The fight ended quickly, but he got a lot of information from it. Midoriya was so focused on what was going on, he didn't even notice a small red feather floating around in front of his face. Izuku watched as the feather moved around and went behind him. Midoriya turned around and looked to see the feather fly back to a person. I saw your hard work out there. You did a good job. Izuku would once again get somewhat nervous being around the third-ranked pro hero. Oh, thank you. I tried my best out there. Your victories so far reflect that. Don't give up, Hawk said, bringing a smile to Midoriya's face. Sorry for me asking, but do you mind if I ask a few questions about your quirk? I haven't seen you use it much. Hawks asked curiously. Yeah, sure. Ask away. Izuku nervously answered. Well, here's the basic questions. What is it? And how does it work? Oh, when I want to, I can touch a solid object with all 5 fingers, and it will begin to break down or decay, like the name of it. Thanks to some training, I can touch stuff without it decaying, but I still like to wear gloves. Midori explained to Hawks, who nodded intrigued. Quite an interesting quirk. If you train it, you might have quite the dangerous quirk in your hands. Hawks chuckled. Yeah, I don't like how dangerous it can be, though. Izuku nervously says. Don't view your quirk as a danger to everybody. Think of it like an uncontrolled power. As it is now, yeah, it is dangerous. If you refine it and grow better, like how you're trained to control if it activates or not, then you have a useful and powerful quirk capable of taking out even the strongest villain. Izuku smiled while looking at his hands. Thank you! Izuku wanted to thank Hawks more, but Hawks suddenly got a call on his phone. Hawks answered his phone and answered a few things before hanging up. Well, looks like I'm needed somewhere. Have a good rest of the festival. Hawks walked away quietly, muttering to himself. Their quirks are really similar. I'm probably thinking too hard. Hawks walked off before flying away to get more information on a recent hero killing. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I like to say if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend you an invitation to join our team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.